It was clear that this day would come for a long time now. Over the past several months, Huawei fans around the globe were seriously concerned over the future of the new Huawei flagship. There have been a lot of bad news that really shook the community. Executives were arrested in Canada and the company was added to a trade blacklist only to be given a temporary reprieve. However, with the release of the Mate 30 series last week in Munich, Huawei did release a beast of a smartphone. It features top-end specs, including what looks to be a massively improved camera array in a variety of ways, all packed into a sleek design. The problem is, it's not clear in which countries this smartphone will sell, and that's also part of Huawei's strategy. Earlier this year, Google revoked Huawei's license to use all of Android services on future devices, after an executive order in the US by President Trump. At first, this looks like it would be the end of Huawei smartphones, but the company, being China's biggest telecommunications manufacturer, they have a secret plan B. At the turn of 2019, Huawei claimed it would be soon the #1 smartphone seller, and analysts looking at the success of the last year's P20 Pro and the Mate 20 Pro really agreed. Huawei CEO Richard Yu said that the company could have shipped 300 million phones this year, but that won't happen now due to consumer worries. But do we really have to be worried? Let's dig deeper. The Mate 30 and the Mate 30 Pro are the first smartphones to run Android open source project, also called AOSP Android, rather than the fully licensed kind. This means they don't have the Google Play Store, Gmail, Google Apps or any other applications from the Google Suite. This is the result of Huawei being placed on the US entity list of threats to national security. Richard Yu said that he felt that the company was treated like a pressuring medium in the US-China trade war and Trump forced the company into his strategy against China. Anyhow, Richard Yu said that he thinks that in the future, Huawei still will be the #1. To prove his point, we can actually look at the stats, because in Q2 2019, Huawei was already the #2 producer of smartphones worldwide, before the US took this drastic action and their growth was basically unstoppable. It's true that this phone has incredible hardware, but it's also difficult for the sellers of the phones and if and how they would be able to communicate their software limitations to the average buyer and also avoid a lot of returns. All the sources say officially that you can't install the Google services and you will instead have to rely on Huawei's own app gallery, to which Huawei is devoting a $1 billion fund to coax over developers and third-party app stores like Aptoide. For sure, Huawei wants to move users to their own Huawei app gallery, but this will take time. The Google Play Store was released in October 2008 and now has over 2.7 million apps. Huawei's app gallery included in the Huawei mobile services now hosts 45,000 apps, so way less. And since WhatsApp, Facebook and many more apps are banned in China, you won't find these apps yet in the app gallery. So in order to install these apps, there are actually a few ways. You can either install the APK itself from the internet, which is really easy to do, or use an alternate app store like Aptoide, or last but not least, install the Google Play services and then install the Play Store and use it. While Aptoide is working fine, it's actually a competitor to the Play Store. On Aptoide there are over 1 million apps right now, which is a lot, and it's growing really fast. So Google saw it as a kind of competitor, and since summer 2018, Google Play protects and flags Aptoide as a harmful app, hiding it in users' Android devices and requesting them to uninstall it. This results in a potential decrease of unique Aptoide users of 20%. So the only solution for Huawei is to build their own app store. And they have so many devices in the field that it really makes sense here. And also, if they have their own app store, then they don't rely on anyone, and future bans would never be a problem for Huawei again. So no worries guys, even though Google mobile services are not on the phone, there are so many solutions to get your apps. So you don't need to give up this great phone because of the lack of Google. And the lack of Google, however, in China is not a problem at all, as Xiaomi, Oppo, Vivo all sell their phones without Google services in China, because Google is blocked there. However, also on these phones I've installed the Play Store quite often in the past when I've imported China phones to Europe. But what about the future? Now Huawei is essentially offering a bounty to developers in the hopes that they will make versions of the apps that are compatible with the HMS core. Apps based on the HMS core will integrate with Huawei's Android-based EMUI skin. We have seen the strategy with BlackBerry and Microsoft, but unfortunately this strategy is likely to fail. At least if you don't have a big community of users, and that's something Huawei has to build up. But if one company can do it, then it's Huawei. Also, there is something not many people talk about. If something should change with the ban, Huawei would be able to reinitiate Google services overnight with an update because Huawei has allowed the Mate 30's bootloader to be unlocked, making it easier for the developers or the community to install Google Play services on the firmware level. Now beside Android, Huawei has also pushed the boundaries in 5G, and this was a huge part of the presentation. 5G phones right now are really expensive and also will maybe not work in the future. Powering the Mate 30 series is the Kirin 990 chip that's supposed to be even faster and more efficient than the Kirin 980. And also it's the first system on chip to come with an embedded 5G processor. It got the most amount of antennas in the phone, 21 antennas to be exact, of which 14 handle the 5G signal over multiple 5G bands. And you also get 5G speeds of up to 1.5 gigabits per second in real-life tests, and that's like 50% higher than the Note 10. The phone can support also two 5G SIM cards simultaneously, which is also a first for the industry. But even more important is that it not only supports non-standalone 5G, but also standalone 5G. Right now 5G runs on 4G infrastructure, which is called non-standalone. But in the future it will switch to standalone, and then your old phone which supports only non-standalone will be useless. But this will be many years from now in the future, so no worries about that, but it's really cool that this phone is really such a future-proof phone. Now Huawei CEO Richard Yu said that he thinks that this ban will influence the out of China sales for sure. But China sales will actually increase a lot, because this is the most competitive 5G flagship in the world. Although Huawei expects global sales to drop, it is expecting strong growth in its home market of China, where 5G is already running and expanding fast. So overall you have seen the reviews and the specs, and my review will also come very soon, but in general it's a crazy good phone with a nice screen, a huge camera and great hardware overall. But now it really depends on your feedback guys, if the Mate 30 will sell outside of China. So if you also love Huawei, write #WithHuawei in the comments and let's make this phone happen in our countries. So as always guys, big thanks for watching. I'm Steven from Tech Magnet and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching and have a nice day and bye.